Welcome to the Off 199 podcast. We are your co-hosts, Jay,
Music Nerd,
and Dap.
We're just a few Miami boys who love talking about South Florida sports and want to bring it to you. So, without further ado,
Off 199 starts now.
What is going on, Off 199 fans? It is your boy, Music Nerd. We have a very special episode today. Very, very special episode. But first off, I want to introduce everyone who's coming. Of course, my normal co-host, Jay, is here.
Yo.
Dap.
Yes, sir.
And then we got some really special guests, some frequent contributors. We're going to start off with the most seasoned, my brother, Ajax, a.k.a. Regraded Trainer. How you doing today?
Doing good, man.
Doing good. And then, of course, Nicholas Burnett is back today.
What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up?
And a good friend of the podcast, Joshua Salter, is back today as well.
How we doing?
Good. So, reason why it's a special episode today, and also we're kind of doing a low with sports today, is we're going to actually be debating who is the best Eastern Conference team since Jordan, post-Jordan. So, that's why I'm really excited about this episode. This is one of the ideas I've had for a long time. We've actually talked about this amongst ourselves, so I'm really happy to kind of put it into practice. So, first things first, criteria that we're going to show for everyone. Me, I'm going to kind of be moderating it. I'm gonna give some like fact checks and stuff like that. But to even be considered, you must have made multiple Eastern Conference finals since 2000, basically post-Jordan. So when you look into that, only a few teams qualify in the East. First, the Boston Celtics qualify, the Nets qualify, New Jersey/Brooklyn, the Pacers.
Surprise.
Really? Back when J. Kidd was there?
J. Kidd had. Yeah, they had multiple conference finals appearances and went to the finals. So they had
back.
Indiana Pacers qualify. The Pistons qualify, of course. The Cavaliers qualify, of course. Milwaukee Bucks qualify, of course, as they are a champion as well. Miami Heat, of course. Orlando Magic qualify. Atlantic Hawks qualify, and the Toronto Raptors qualify. So
what's the third for the Magic?
Well, Magic made multiple conference finals, and have gone to the finals. So they do.
We're just letting anybody.
Third one.
The third, no,
you got the two with Dwight.
You got to know. All you have to do is make multiple. You only have to make two.
Oh, two. Okay.
It's only two. So, I mean, we can dwindle it down. I mean, I'm not saying that they're going to win or anything like that, but they have an Eastern Conference championship, so they are better than some of the teams on this list. Like I said, the Hawks make it technical, because they have a couple conference finals appearances.
So
only
have one?
No, they got swept in 2014-15 was probably their best season. I'm gonna say this: the Hawks we're probably not gonna be talking about the Hawks, but they technically by the criteria do make it.
Let's go ahead and
last but not least, the Toronto Raptors also qualify.
Oh, surprise.
So, all right. So we'll whittle it down probably to the 5 best 16s. Like I said, the Hawks probably won't be a team we'll talk about much. I mean, we can talk about the Magic. They actually had a little bit more of actually more ended on Eastern Conference than people think. So we'll talk about that. But the first things first, the first thing we're going to talk about, the best continual team run, which means the best amount of individual seasons without missing the playoffs. So basically, for each team, I'm gonna go through that. For the Celtics, their best run is actually what's going on right now. They've made the playoffs for the past, if I'm not mistaken, 6 seasons, with a conference championship and five Eastern Conference championship appearances. The Nets, their best run was in the early 2000s. They made the conference playoffs 6 straight times with 4 Eastern Conference Finals appearances. The Pacers, from 2010 to 2016, made the playoffs all 6 years with two Eastern Conference championship appearances. And of course, the Pistons have 8 straight conference finals in the beginning of the 2000s. That's their best look. Cleveland Cavaliers, of course, their best look is the 4-year period when LeBron came back with 4 straight conference finals appearances, 4 straight conference finals wins, and 1 championship. The Milwaukee Bucks are also in the midst of their best with the last 6 years they've made the playoffs with 2 conference championship appearances and 1 championship. The Miami Heat, their best 4 is the LeBron James, Dwayne Wade years, and the 2010-14 Eastern Conference Final championships, 4 straight with 2 championships. Orlando Magic, their best period is the Dwight Howard years with 2 Eastern Conference Finals appearances, 1 Eastern Conference championship, and 8 straight playoff appearances, if I'm not mistaken, or was it 7?
It was something. It had to have been around there.
7 or 6. And then the Hawks, their best one is from 2012, if I'm not mistaken, to 2016. They made the playoffs 6 straight times with 1 Eastern Conference championship appearance. And the Raptors just finished theirs from 2014 to 2021, 7 straight playoffs appearances, 2 Eastern Conference championship appearances, and 1 championship. So, gentlemen, which one do you think, and we'll start off with Josh, which was the best continual team run during this from the East since Jordan has been gone?
I have to go with the Cavs only because the LeBron coming back Cavs, the return of LeBron Cavs. This might be everybody else's answer. Only because I'm very impressed again with that 2016-2017 run and overcoming that deficit. But we'll talk about that later. But I think seeing the way that I judged this was I did team runs more by the players that you had around you and the ability to overcome. It was more team based as opposed to organization based. And so the team runs that those Cavalier teams had, I thought were very impressive, given that there was only a handful of Hall of Fame players that would be able to. There were only a handful of Hall of Fame players, but you're doing it with other people with, I would say, subpar talent, and still being able to get to the finals and ultimately get over that hump and beat that 73-9 Warriors team. So that, to me, that run I think is very significant and important to the discussion.
Okay. What about you, Nick?
It would have to be Cleveland. I mean, if I had to pick between both, we have to pick one of the runs, right? Because they're making the playoffs. I'm gonna pick the second half. We were literally seeing LeBron in the conference champions 4 years in a row. I mean, that in of itself, because he dragged some shitty teams to the fucking conference finals. Granted, the only knock on saying that is at that time how weak the East was. That is the only argument you had. But I think for consistency that he had to pull those teams to the Eastern Conference Finals year in and year out for those 4 to 5 straight years speaks to, I think, LeBron's legacy in and of itself. Maybe not necessarily the whole team, which I guess it is more of a team comparison, but it speaks to his greatness in and of itself, even with the East being that weak at the time.
All right, Jay. I see you want to come in. I'll let you chime in first. Then we'll go Jack. Then we'll go Dad.
I've been debating about around this current Heat run or the Pistons run, because the more I think about it, the more impressive it seems like to me, considering what they had and what they did with it. So come back to me. I'll still kind of think about it a little bit harder.
Let's go with Ajax then. What do you think?
Thinking about it, I'm surprised after the Cleveland run, but
I've been talking to them about this for years.
Oh, yeah,
so this is why I wanted to do. This is one reason why I invited them. I wanted these.
Oh, I was going to say Miami.
no, I'm not gonna say Miami. So
okay,
I'm probably gonna, because I was thinking about it like all day, and then I did remember how the Pistons went to 6 straight conference finals.
Yeah,
and that's and mind you, like, but is there like one Hall of Famer on that roster? In terms of like
technically? Ben Wallace. Yeah,
and
Ben Wallace.
Ben Wallace
he wasn't the best.
Ben Wallace, and then like their Hall of Famer is an undrafted guy. So it's like in terms of like
Prince, he not in the Hall of Fame?
No.
Borderline?
No.
They're borderline, but the best player on that team is Billups. I think that's the most borderline. But yeah, Chris Hamilton's not in the Hall of Fame.
Again, but like they can get in the Hall of Fame later from my.
Tayshaun Prince never get into the Hall of Fame.
But I don't think I agree with that.
Tayshaun will probably not make it to the Hall of Fame.
But over like just to bounce off y'all point about Cleveland, all those guys are kind of like underrated, and they were able to come together and have one of the greatest runs of all time. Because Billups got traded like probably the only top 3 draft pick that was like somewhat good to get traded like 5 times in like 2 or 3 years. And then he ended up sticking in Detroit. He ended up being like not the head. I would say Wallace was the head of the snake in terms of that team, but being one of like a key factors on that whole team to drive that run. All of them guys were like kind of like underrated, and they were able to come together. And I know we're going to talk about coaches later on, but Larry Brown being the coach of the 76ers and the coach of the Pistons, he might pick as well. But I'm gonna have to go with the Pistons.
Damn, that was a good one.
What about you, Dap?
That's fair.
That is.
Well, I'm gonna disappoint y'all because I'm definitely going with the Heat.
There we go. See it?
You guys.
The balance is gold.
I'm jumping off the ledge with this one because you guys made some really valid points. One, LeBron James in Cleveland. I feel like when it happens, we kind of like we're not in the moment, but when I look back on that season, LeBron was on one. Pistons, that probably would have been my first choice, but the reason I picked Miami is because let's just keep it real, man. It's one of the newer franchises. And the success we've had in these last few years without really like star players, it's crazy, man. If you could just imagine us having one star player within the last 3 to 4 years to help Jimmy, like I'm talking about a star player, not like when I say star player, sometimes we go back.
I mean, superstar.
Yeah. Thank you. So superstar. So we had Jimmy, that's our star player. But if we had a superstar, we probably could even beat LeBron and those guys in the bubble. We definitely would have had a championship post LeBron era. And the fact that we've been atop of the Eastern Conference Finals, we make the playoffs just about every year. If we beat some of the best teams, I think Miami Heat, I think had the best run, man. We just
AJ looking real smug over there.
Hey. I think if we just go into the fucking finals healthy, we beat them. But let me put myself.
That's me too. I was like, hey,
y'all bugging.
And
and let's just put this back in perspective. Like Austin, I disagree with you with it, but you were right. Like 2 years ago, if we got Spider and got rid of Tyler, like definitely, we probably would have a ring by now.
Hey man,
no, bro. When you first said it, I was like, "Whoa, what you talking about?" But now I really see what you're saying, bro. We would have won, bro.
Yeah, right. I was like, hey, that specifically that finals, like pushing the 6 with 3 white boys starting. So it's like
there'll be a time we can look back and look back at that whole, but we could have a whole podcast about that bubble. Yeah, what happened there and what didn't.
Had the anti-Semite starting for Bam and shit, and niggas talking, and it got pushed to 6.
Right.
So it's like,
oh, wow.
it's like when people say to me, "No, we still would have lost." I'm like, I don't get it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I get it, but it's like you don't think we would have had a chance? It's crazy. But yeah, I'll put myself back on mute.
You gotta be a
all right. Well, let's get to it. Well, Jay, you haven't commented on your best continuing run, so let's give you to you so you can round out that first part.
Now that I've heard everybody else's points or whatever, I'm gonna have to go with Miami, man. I'm sorry, I gotta go with Miami.
Let's go.
Which one? Which run? Pick the run.
The best Heat run is from 2010 to 2014.
With LeBron.
With LeBron.
Like the Cavs.
That's like a different argument. If you want to say LeBron as a run, as like his own separate entity, I would definitely agree with you. But we talking about teams.
Yeah.
Hold on.
That was one of the best teams in the East. Period.
Hold on.
Is Miami is the Cleveland Cavaliers beating that Miami Heat team?
No.
Can I bring up one thing?
No.
Can I bring up one thing?
Go ahead.
If I don't know if I agree with that, the idea that the post LeBron Miami Heat run, because, and this might just be me as an Orlando Magic fan, I don't look back on the run that we had and say, oh, that was a really good run, but we have no championships to show for it. So for me, one of the ideas was like, nobody's gonna look back and be like, and that's why I feel like what really legitimizes all the other ones was that even though they lost in the finals, they were able to get over that hump at some point. And I'm like,
Oh,
okay, even if they don't get it the other years, that year that they did do it, and all the effort that they put in and all the nearby years, that to me pushes it over the top, which is why, even if Cleveland didn't get that championship, it was nice knowing you. I don't think Kyrie is Kyrie.
It wouldn't qualify.
Yeah,
you're right. You're absolutely right. It wouldn't qualify.
I think
Kyrie got away with a lot of shit because he hit that shot.
People are still eating. There are 2016, 2017 Cavaliers that are still eating to this day based on that run. And I think that just legitimizes everything. If he doesn't make that shot, like a lot of people going, that who knows where Cleveland is at, But yeah, that to me was my perspective on it. Now, respect to your to your point, but that's what I was thinking.
All right. So take that into account. I feel like because they didn't win, what was it, like 4 years there?
They won.
Kyrie can never stay healthy. K-Love can never stay healthy for the
first one.
You only come out with one championship.
Only time they wasn't healthy was that first year. It was the 14-15 year. Every other run that Kyrie.
Every other year somebody was hurt.
It was like they was healthy during the offs. But mind you, that was only 2 of the years. And the last year,
Kyrie was gone that 4th year. So.
Kyrie was gone that 4th year. So only that first year they wasn't healthy. But the 2 years, I ain't gonna lie. I don't even know why I said that wasn't those first 3 Cavaliers teams were good, especially the 2015, 2016, and 2016, 2017. Those teams were all time good in my opinion. But I don't know. The 2018, that team was trash.
That team was trash.
2018 was trash. But all the other teams, they were good to me. They were very, very good.
You talk about the JR.
The original question was, do we think it could have made the Miami run with LeBron? That's what proposed this question.
No, I don't think
that's what proposed it to me.
I mean, I don't feel like it was because that was like that's. I felt they had like the most talent. I feel like they underachieved, honestly, like that run.
Who? Cleveland or
Miami?
Yeah,
I mean,
we won back to back.
That's like honestly,
we won back to back, but
at least
let's be real. Miami should have won at least 3.
You lost. You lost to Dallas.
Lost to Dallas.
You
should have lost to Dallas.
Don't put the loss as a collective. There's only
that
like
Miami
one person.
Team, as much of a gauntlet as that Dallas team went through, that Miami team was better than that Dallas team.
It was.
But then again, in 06, the Dallas team was better than Miami too. So that's why I've always said we got one.
If you don't lose to Dallas, you don't get the LeBron you have today, though.
Yeah, that's also true.
No, you're right. You're right.
Don't have an all-time leading scorer in the history.
I mean, just me personally, I don't care. I wanted my 3-peat, but LeBron had other plans. Like, I don't care what LeBron we get.
I really don't think y'all should have lost to the Spurs either.
That second time,
yes. The Spurs were on the mission.
That was a
but I still think to this day they should have won them.
That was a revenge tour for the Spurs. They were pissed off.
I agree with you, but Wade wasn't.
D-Wade wasn't himself no more.
We'll actually talk a little bit more about that a little bit later in the best individual seasons, I think, with that one. But this one is actually I thought was going to be the most contentious because, for me, I'm like also too that Detroit run is I think absolutely incredible. 8 straight Eastern Conference appearances. 8 straight.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. I forgot about that era.
I didn't even.
No.
I forgot.
I didn't even.
All these other teams, none of these teams even went to the playoffs 8 straight seasons that we're even talking about. They went to the conference finals.
Yeah,
but the East was not. I just want to preface this: the East for about half of that run was not good.
Now stop that.
I have to agree with you, but the thing is though, but the thing is for most of that run, you have Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, and LeBron James with promising teams.
You talk about Chris Bosh stranded in fucking Toronto?
Yes,
not Chris Bosh. That
one. Look, and then the Pistons beat up a Raptors team that had Vince Carter at the beginning of the run, and Tracy McGrady on that team too.
Tracy McGrady was
that was Tracy McGrady before he became T-Mac, though. That was Tracy McGrady, not T-Mac.
I'm not trying to discredit that, but what I'm saying is that even with the East, because also the East was really trash post LeBron. Well, that's I'm just saying. 8 straight years is incredible.
That level of success. That level of success. Go ahead.
My fault. Go ahead, man. I'm sorry.
I was going to say that level of success consistently has to be acknowledged. Again,
Yeah,
to me, it's what
definitely.
pushes it over the top. They had those two conference finals appearances. They lost one, they won one. I can dig it. I'm with it. I think the reason why I favor this just could be me, but like that Cleveland Cavaliers run was it was short and sweet relatively to what we're talking about with the Pistons. When you have something prolonged and you only get one championship out of it, that might dilute it a little bit versus when you have a shorter period where we got one and we went to the finals all the rest of the times and like we were out, you know. But to me, it's like really like when you think about never mind. I'm going into college football, but that's another podcast.
We'll get to that next time.
I mean,
What
if
you
you
about
want
to
to be
say,
honest,
Jack?
like this whole entire post Jordan, the East been trash for 23 years. I mean, 25 years. To be honest, you know what I'm saying? Like, it hasn't really been.
This is
probably
the
the
first season. In my opinion, this is
not
probably
wrong.
the first season
He's not
where I
wrong.
feel like the
Like, the only
East
time-
had
I see what he's
consistently.
saying.
Like the only stretch where I can like picture where there was like a really good stretch of like good to great teams was where we had maybe when like it was the Bulls, the Heat, the Celtics, and the Pacers. But even then, the Pacers weren't the Pacers yet. That was the year after. Then Derrick Rose got hurt, so they were gone. And the Celtics age was starting to show. Paul Pierce, by the way. So it's like.
Oh my
The East
god!
just like the East didn't have a consistent like top four contending team. It was all like you knew who's getting to the East Conference Finals every single year. Like you knew.
That's
you knew.
true.
So
That's
the
a good
East
point.
very predictable.
But okay, I guess since we have to give out points for this one, all right. So I guess, oh man, this is a tough one. All right, look, all right. So we'll give out 5, 4, and 3. Give 5 to the Pistons because it's 8 years and they wanted 1 championship. All right, 4 to the Heat because they won 2 championships in that 4-year props, and 3 to the Cleveland. With that, can we agree on that one?
you got it.
That's suspect, but I don't make the rules.
Yeah, thank you.
I mean, we base it in arguments, we
Way.
base it on championships, right? Like, because really, if we're talking about it, Miami won 2. Miami kind of deserves a 5, and we're talking about it in their best continued run.
What's
But
the criteria?
Yeah, go over before you say that, Phil. Go over the criteria and then say the points again.
All right. Best continual team run, which includes consistency of success, deepness of playoff runs, could be long as possible, but no shorter than the 3-season run. The run cannot have a season where the playoffs weren't made.
Okay.
That last point puts the Pistons over the top. I got to give it to them.
So championships are nullified. So I'm
not saying championships nullified, but like it's deepness of run. You can't go deeper than a championship.
You can't be 8. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And
you
like,
can't go deeper than a championship.
I begrudgingly agree.
Even in these
so you
runs,
have to give that edge to it.
Even in these runs,
based on that criteria.
Yeah, I mean, it's continual run,
championship.
so that's why I have to give that edge to Detroit on that one.
I don't mind that because all these runs, all the teams only got 1 or 2 championships. It's not like teams are three-peating.
It's not like it was 6 and 8 like the Bulls did, or even 5 and 9 as like the Warriors have done. Like, you know, but
you got it.
I gotta get. All right, so moving on to the next one. Oh man, I'm loving this already. This has been awesome already. Best players, Hall of Fame talent. Lasting legacy type players would differ for each team, basically. Which team had or found the most talent? It could be either drafted, made trades for, or savvy deals, whichever.
Start that over again. So is it 2 things that we're judging?
We're judging the legacy type players for each franchise here. Right.
But it could be multiple players.
It could be multiple players. It could be whatever. I mean, Cleveland, like basically in this, Miami gets Dwayne Wade, Cleveland gets LeBron.
Yeah.
I'm talking about.
Okay.
And then Detroit can claim all they can claim as well. Ben Wallace, Chauncey Billups, all that stuff. And of course, Milwaukee gets Giannis and things like that. But also, Miami gets Jimmy. Miami, because Jimmy's best years have been with Miami. Also, Miami gets Chris Bosh. Chris Bosh's best years have been with Miami.
So we're talking about teams that acquired players via the draft.
Basically.
We're not talking about trades at all.
It not just trades or free agencies, whatever. Like how basically your best, because Detroit can claim Chauncey because they got him through a trade. Basically, where your best years were at. your legacy is defined. So in this, in this argument, Kyrie is with Cleveland.
Hey, I'm not
that
gonna
makes
lie.
sense.
I'm not gonna lie.
Right?
Technically, Miami got LeBron through a trade, and his best years was in Miami. So
That's not no.
hey,
No,
to me,
legacy,
no,
but I'll put it like this: his legacy is
Nick,
defined.
Nick,
No.
hey, you know I'm not a LeBron fan.
That can't be
Chris
I
Paul's
guess I'll
best
say
years
that.
were
I'm not gonna
Paul.
lie.
No, I'm
That
not
can be
LeBron fan.
argued, but his legacy is defined through his Cleveland years.
I feel you.
I don't care what you say.
you.
His legacy is defining Cleveland.
I feel
his
you.
leg because especially that champion.
2030,
Because basically his defining moment is that championship 2015,
I
2016.
feel you, but hey,
Yes.
2013 LeBron, that is probably. I'm not. Y'all know I'm not a LeBron fan. 2013 is probably the most complete player I've ever seen.
Yes, I will. I can't give you that.
Oh.
2013, yeah, that's the
That's
most
the best
complete
version
LeBron's ever
I've
seen.
ever-
But his legacy
That's
is done in
crazy.
Cleveland. For this argument, Cleveland, Kyrie, Cleveland, LeBron. I'll give him that. So basically, I mean, let's be real. LeBron is going to get his number retired by probably 3 different franchises. But for this argument alone, we'll put him in Cleveland.
So y'all think he gets his number retired in Miami?
Oh, he's
Yeah,
definitely getting his number retired.
for sure,
He's the only
Miami.
MVP in Miami history.
I don't
Getting
think
his number
I don't know if
retired.
Pat Riley would
I
Yeah,
don't
that's
think
what I'm saying.
LA.
I'm iffy on LA.
Pat Riley's over it. He said it. He went out there. He's like, look, I understand what he had to do. What he had to do. He didn't like it. He didn't like it for a very long time. But it's been 10 years now. He's cool
If
with
it
it now.
wasn't over,
His number's
I
going
mean,
to
to
get
only
retired.
play
in Miami.
4 seasons and get your. It was 4 seasons he was in Miami, right? 4 or
Yeah.
5.
Yeah,
And he gets his number retired.
We went to the finals.
Shaq only played 5 seasons. Got his number retired.
I'm
No,
not knocking it.
seasons.
I'm a
That's a
LeBron
hot
fan.
four.
I'm just saying, what is the criteria?
Shaq only played 4 seasons. Got his number retired. And Shaq forced his way out. Shaq forced his way out of Miami too. You bring Miami a championship, they got you. They love you.
Y'all retire Shaq number.
Yes, Miami retired Shaq's number.
I ain't gonna lie, I was
hanging up in the rafters.
He was there for 3 seasons.
I ain't gonna lie, I was
3.5, almost.
I was
four.
there.
That was the first. I think that
I
was,
just think Miami will retire anybody number at this point.
Alonzo Mourning, Tim
They
Hardaway,
retired Jordan's
Chris
number. So I
Bosh,
think they retired Shaq's
Shaq,
number.
and then Udonis Haslem and Dwayne Wade. Udonis Haslem will get his next year. Dwayne Wade has his retirement.
Okay,
And LeBron James getting his number retired.
I'm gonna approach this knowing that this is very hostile territory. How do we feel about the Celtics? Because
No one likes the Celtics. Fuck
I
Boston.
know.
Look,
Okay,
and for this argument, the Celtics can claim Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett.
We can talk
Ray
about
Allen.
it. Let's talk about it. No,
Go
let's talk
ahead.
about it.
Go ahead. Talk about it. I'll stop.
Boston for this argument, for this one, we'll talk about everything else later on. But Boston can claim Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen, Paul Pierce, and Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. For this
Why are
one.
you letting them claim? Why are you letting them claim Kevin Garnett? Technically, Kevin Garnett was his best when
the
he
guy
was
through a
with
trade his
Timberwolves.
championship with Kevin Garnett.
Kevin Garnett.
Yeah,
was
but
an
he was in
MVP
his bag
before.
with the Timberwolves.
He was in his
Yeah,
bag
he
with
was
the
in his
Timberwolves.
bag with the Timberwolves.
I ain't gonna
But
lie,
this is an Eastern
that
Conference. First of all, this is
season.
an Eastern Conference conversation. And second off, his legacy defining moment is in a Celtics uniform. And
I think
Here's
he
what
was like,
Okay.
I think I'm wrong though. I think he was like second MVP voting like his first year on the Celtics and Defensive Player of the Year. So like,
yeah,
sure.
he was.
I agree with you, that wasn't his best
He
year,
was
but,
still, yeah, he was still a
that's his legacy defining moment.
Which
Like,
is
yeah,
why this is why the whole Paul Pierce conversation really pisses me off. It's not like Kevin Garnett was a fucking bum when he got it. He was still in his bag.
Yeah, that's why like that whole
That's
shit. That's why
very
that whole
true.
argument.
He was. I'm just saying it.
And Ray Allen was still the best shooter in the world too when he got him. So
All right. Well, here's what I want to say. Here's my argument for Boston, knowing that I might get charred by all the fire that y'all about to blow at me in a second.
go ahead.
Go ahead, man. I'm not mad at you.
I really see the Celtics and the Heat 1-2. They interchange between like the best organizations in the league. By the way, I see the fire. By the way that they're not able, they draft and develop talent, but they also acquire talent and make that talent more effective for their organization. The reason why that I probably, because I live here, I put the Celtics over the top is because you see the trajectory that some of these players go to reach superstardom from a place where they were no. So to me, one of my favorite players, Rondo, of all time was Rondo, and I believe he was like, I don't know if he would have been the same person had he not developed in the Boston Celtics organization originally. And that, to me, I think he'll be a Hall of Famer. To me, I think that says something. You know, you're gonna have your Ray Allens, you're gonna have your Paul Pierces and whatnot. But how is that talent under that being able to develop effectively to be successful, to go on, win other championships elsewhere, do other things elsewhere? So that's my thought and why I think it puts again. But you know, the Heat are right there. I think the Heat are right there.
I
would
have to
argue. Oh, go ahead, Nab. You got it.
My issue with that, you're absolutely right. They drafted good, but the Celtics have underachieved, bro.
You're right.
Jason Tatum,
you're right.
Jaylen Brown, and that squad of y'all could barely even make it out the East.
Yeah.
That's why.
But let's think for this argument, it's just about
different. That's an argument though. So,
that's not the argument.
That's what I'm saying. They
this,
underachieve because they're so talented. If you take Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown and put them anywhere else, they probably would have won a ring by now.
You're right, but
Dang,
you got to think
you
about.
Think so?
Are you
separating them, or are you keeping them together?
Coaching staff and Miami's coaching staff. I know Eric Spoelstra could win a ring.
No, but look,
I would argue that
organization. I think those are more organizational things, right?
Yeah,
there.
I would argue that Rondo would develop the same way in a different organization as long as he had Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, and Ray Allen.
Well, what about the system there? And also that was a Doc Rivers system that was heavy defensively, and so that was an important. That was a very important part of Rondo's
it's because of the Celtics, though. I think that's probably just.
You think it's the players around him that made him the way he was?
Say what?
Absolutely.
You think it was the players around him that made him the way he was?
Yeah. That's why he developed the way he developed was because of the players around him. And you can kind of
I don't know because he went to the Mavericks. He wasn't the same. And the Mavericks was the initial trade after the Celtics. Then he went to Sacramento. Wasn't the same. He went to LA. He's had to change his game around a lot.
He was like when he went to the West, he was great. Like when we got, New Orleans. He brought them to the playoffs. That's their best season.
You know what? You're right.
Anthony
Go ahead.
New Orleans.
Yeah.
I mean,
I definitely think there's truth to what he's saying about the players being around him because Rondo gets bored. He gets bored. You have players like Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce to an extent, and Ray Allen that would check him and put him in check and like tell him to bring his shit every fucking day. You know what I mean? That's why there's a reason they call it playoff Rondo.
That is a part of the talent. That is a part of the talent argument. So you have to give it to Boston. No, Boston's a strong contender in this one. I think.
Here's one thing I heard. Here's one thing that I heard Brian Scalabrine say. He said that Rondo is the smartest player that he's ever been around. And in order to be as smart of a player as Rondo is, you have to be a part of an organization that allows that intelligence and that thought process to grow and to become, to me, what it became in Rondo. If you have a player as smart as Rondo and you put him in a place like Miami, where there are other top dogs and Spoelstra and Pat Riley and a lot of the other organizational heads there, who knows if he'll be able to blossom the same. That's why I say an organization like Boston, you have to be able to think about how they allow think of Grant Williams. As trash as Grant Williams.
But that comes down to coaching.
No, hear me out. What I'm saying though is that when you look at a team's ability to take a player and allow them to blossom and become that to me adds to why that team has that they're able to elevate and bring up that Hall of Fame level talent or that talent that gets them over the hump in many situations. So again, he's gone now. But when you think about Grant Williams being coached to be able to make a bunch of threes in the playoffs and very clutch moments so that the Celtics are able to move on. You don't see that when you get into like Joe Harris when he was playing with the Nets a couple years ago and they needed him to make those threes in the clutch. Guess who was bricking him? Joe Harris. That's an issue with. So I think you have to think about it, at least from my perspective. You have to think about it in a way in which how are the players able to overcome their circumstances and consistently prove themselves on the court beyond that. I do think it's a part organizational thing, but the organization plays into how these players are developing their talent and being elevated as well.
I don't think you're wrong. I think the Celtics are up. I do think the Celtics are up there. And I don't even mind saying that the Celtics are it because it makes them winning one championship even funnier. That they have like the most talent like the past 25 years and they haven't done shit with it for real.
For sure.
I don't even mind you saying that, honestly.
I do have to agree with that. I think Boston, especially with the way they fleeced the Nets, which pushed the Nets out of this category, but from this. Like, look at all those picks that they got from Paul Pierce. They turned Paul
Yes.
Pierce, Kevin Garnett,
only
and
for real, two pop, and only
That's true.
two pop for real. Only two
Yeah.
pink. Like,
it
mind you,
turned him into
like,
Jalen Brown and
all the
Jason
picks.
Tatum.
I think
If-
Danny
if
Ainge
that's
at
the
that
trade-off.
point in his career was probably the best general manager within basketball for those 3 or 4 years right there after that.
Well, he wasn't. He was never afraid, and well, he's with the Jazz now, but he wasn't afraid to do. So even that Kyrie, I didn't like the way that they treated Isaiah Thomas, especially the playoff runs that he had with the Celtics.
I don't like the way they treat Isaiah
But
Thomas and Kemba Walker, but we can get into that with the organization. I think
But
that's more-
but it's a
Well,
double-edged sword, right?
It is.
It paid off in some ways, although Kyrie
It paid off for Boston, not him.
But at the same time, there are real people that are, whose livelihoods are, so.
But all right. Well, yeah, I have to give it on that. Well, Jay, you have anything to add? You seem like you were like thinking about something there.
No, I'm good. Move on.
What about you,
So-
Dab? What about you, Dab? You okay over there?
This
Anything
was
to
so
add?
like, who has the better talent, right?
Well, yeah, this is basically who's acquired, who's gotten the better talent. It's not so much about results on this one. It's just who has the better talent.
Who has the better talent? Well, no, when you first proposed it, it was like whose player legacy for the team for
Yeah, lasting legacy. Basically lasting legacy type players for
the
that
organization.
for their franchise. Yeah,
I
would
gotta
say
give it.
Boston.
I give it.
They have the. They
yeah.
have
I mean, I think
talent.
for me,
They just
like if I'm giving a point system, go ahead. You were saying that? You said
No, I'm just
Boston.
saying like he's right. I thought we were talking about legacy, but if we're talking like what you just said, it's definitely Boston. But it's just sad because they underachieved like a lot with all the talent
Yeah.
they've come through Boston.
1,000% correctly.
Austin,
So
you agree with
the only thing that's starting me off about this part of the conversation, which I'm loving, by the way, is how does the talent that you acquire, even it doesn't necessarily project itself to legacy as far as greatest player, how does that not fall underneath organization? Because I feel like Boston probably wins this conversation if we're talking about the organization and what the organization has done to set themselves up for success. But if we're talking about players that were drafted or that are on the team whose legacy has impacted the most within the city and the fan base or whatever you want to say, that would have to be LeBron, hands down.
Well, here's how.
Well, no, man, that's the thing. LeBron is one player. My bad. You're saying, Josh, like LeBron is one player. Like for me, I'm trying to see like, hey, we got multiple. Because the thing is, like when you look at someone like if you bringing Miami into the conversation, of course, you got when you bring like you talk about Dwayne Wade and Udonis Haslem when it comes to impacts upon the city. Now, look, basketball was a complete afterthought until 03-04, until Dwayne Wade got drafted and bringing in Shaq and bringing in and then Udonis Haslem embodying that culture. All of a sudden, right now, basketball it's never going to beat football in South Florida, not close. But basketball is now almost as important, basically, because it's more popular because teams are winning. But, like, that's my thought process, and that's what they've been able to do now, develop a talent. Now, organization-wise, we're going to talk more about the developing of the talent and everything like that. But legacy, more what I'm seeing is like when I look at someone like LeBron James and what he's done for the city of Cleveland, that's what puts him in that conversation. When I look at someone like Dwayne Wade and what he's done for the city of Miami, that puts him in the conversation. But then you look at what Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen were able to do for Boston. They brought him a championship back, and they haven't had a championship in almost 30 years. That's huge. And I talked to Boston fans today. They absolutely love Paul Pierce. One of my servants said as far as she's concerned, that's her husband. She doesn't care whatever her actual husband thinks.
Pierce?
She's probably
Pierce,
right.
Bro.
She's probably right.
Paul Pierce, bro. That's how they love him. That's it. That's the legacy that he has. Even though it was a messy divorce and everything like that, that's the legacy that they have. They have a lasting legacy on that. That's the same thing for Wade County. The fact of the matter is, for a week, Miami-Dade County was literally known as Miami-Wade County. You don't get, and then because LeBron brought a championship to Cleveland. Cleveland hadn't had a championship in any sports in over 50 years.
That's crazy.
So that's what I mean when it comes to that Hall of Fame lasting legacy type thing.
So the way that I separated it was a lot for like team runs, for like the players getting over the hump and whatnot. I try to give that specifically to the players. But when it comes to consistent success over multiple years out of a team, I try to give that to an organization, meaning they're able to put the coach in the right place. They're able to get the right talent, develop that talent, and get them in position to win over time. So that's why when I look at the Celtics, despite all the fluctuating or moving pieces and whatnot, they're still able to make the playoffs. They're still able to field a pretty competitive, and that's what I'm saying. The same with the Miami Heat. They've been able to do it as well. I just think that the Celtics are able to leverage that talent and like push it to superstardom, you know.
So I guess then when we come to that, when the most fair would be, I think Boston gets 5 points for that one. I got to give Cleveland 4 because of LeBron being LeBron, basically, and I give Miami 3 on that one. Are we cool with that?
That's fine.
I can live with it. Hey, I'm not so upset, Austin. It'll be all right.
All right, so that gives
really LeBron is taking up 2 spaces. That's all. That's all I'm saying.
Think about it that way.
So that gives Boston 5 points. That gives Detroit 5 points. That gives Miami 7 points. And that gives Cleveland 7 points.
All right.
Wow. Okay.
Well, so Cleveland's not winning any of these other categories, so they're pretty much.
It's been a great run, Cleveland.
Cleveland, yeah.
Let me adjust my points, sis. Let me adjust my points real quick. Sorry.
Oh my God.
That was a good one. All right. So, moving on. Going to best coach. This is the simplest category that each team has. Basically, we're going to look at probably the best coach of the century and argue for best team. The only one that's not simple, which one Boston can claim. If it was me, if I was arguing for Boston, I probably would claim Doc Rivers. But, they have, that's why I see it. Some teams are simpler. Miami, Eric Spoelstra, that's who they've had. So Atlanta, probably their best coach is what? Mike Budenholzer. But that's also the same thing for Budenholzer's been their best coach. And the Bucks, their best coach, is probably Budenholzer as well. So Orlando Magic, Stan Van Gundy's probably been their best coach. Toronto Raptors, Nolan North. Pacers, it's been Frank Vogel. Pistons will probably have to go with Larry Brown on this one. The argument could be having Flip Saunders, but they won a championship with Larry Brown.
There's no argument for Flip Saunders. There's no argument for Flip Saunders.
Hey,
I will never forget watching these
respect the dead.
No. I will never forget. They were courtside. Flip Saunders had called the huddle. Literally, Chauncey Phillips, Ben Wallace, Rick Hamilton, the whole team was looking the other way when he was calling the play. And they was all like, yeah, fuck this guy. I will never forget that. Like, Flip Saunders had zero respect on that team.
Well, all right, then moving on.
He had respect on
the best coach, Tyronn Lue. As simple as that. And like I said, the Raptors is North, and of course, Miami Heat, it's been Eric Spoelstra. So let's get down to it. Josh, I'll let you start this one off. Who do you think has been the best coach for these teams?
Gosh. All right. So am I doing it for each team or the best coach?
No, you can do it. No, just who you think has been the best coach overall. For any conference.
This is really fiction.
What'd you say?
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Honestly, I really want to give it to Ty Lue, but I think I have a soft spot in my heart for Ty Lue. But I think that was his first year coaching from the previous Cavaliers coach, and I forget what his name was.
He was the one coaching that 2014.
He probably was.
The guy from Europe,
the Russian.
You mean the fighter pilot?
Yeah, the fighter pilot.
I could think Ty Lue. I even, in some ways, I think Brad Stevens might deserve some credit as well. I think ultimately, I'm going to give it to Spo, mainly because and look, y'all know how all the trash I talked back in college about the Miami Heat, about Eric Spoelstra. So this is a long decade coming. But again, organization that's able to field effective and successful teams. Even in the Miami Heat's off years, they're still gritty, they're still competitive, they're still defensive minded, and they're able to scrap and win. And that says a lot. And it's no accident the way that they've been able to have these final runs. So I do give it to Spoelstra, although I do think Brad Stevens is able to do a lot with young talent and is able to coach that young talent, even though, and get them close. Like even getting the Celtics that rookie Jason Tatum and sophomore Jaylen Brown to 7 games against the Cavs that year. That was nobody really, without Kyrie, without Gordon Hayward, without those players. Brad is something special for sure. Tyronn Lue, yeah, but I do give it to Spo. I think Spo has really proven himself a lot with his resume consistently since taking over that position, which at the time I was laughing. I was laughing pretty hard when that happened, but he's the one laughing now.
Oh yeah. What about you, Nick?
It's hand down to Eric Spoelstra. If we want to talk about just consistency in coaching and what he's done with virtually, what was it, that fourth stretch of years after it was like Dwayne Wade and there was nobody else on Miami, he was still taking them to the playoffs. I was like, this isn't an accident. This man could coach his fucking ass off. Mm-hmm. And you guys have always been defensively sound, always at least top 10 defensive teams in the NBA at some point in the season. I think Eric Spoelstra has just done, I think what him and Pat Riley have created over there as far as a consistency in a organization that historically is not a great basketball one. I think over the past, I don't know, what has it been, 16, 18 years or something like that has definitely created something special. And what is that award that he just won recently? Didn't he win like Coach of the Year or something like that not too long ago?
He was voted by the coaches as a Coach of the Year a few years back, but he's one of the 15 all-time coaches. That's what he was awarded.
He was awarded 15 top-tier coaches all time. I mean, like that in of itself speaks for itself. Like, I mean, say what you want, he doesn't even look like he knows he's ever dribbled a basketball, but he can coach. And I mean, it's as simple as that.
Played basketball.
He played in college. Like
I know. I'm just saying he doesn't look like he's. I mean, let's be perfectly honest. Eric Spoelstra doesn't look like, just like what's his name from the Spurs. He don't really look like he ever played basketball. But hey, sometimes they're just great. You're a great teacher. I mean,
man, I respect the University of Portland legend, dog.
Yeah, and I think something that he's done really well that he never really got enough credit for in his coaching career is even being able to handle all of the egos, especially with the three of them, the big three, LeBron, Bosh, and Wade, and how figuring out how to make them all work, especially that was pretty early within his coaching career as far as Miami is concerned. I think that is very
third year.
I think that's impressive in and of itself, being able to manage personalities.
Now, I know that everybody else might have a perspective because they're big Miami fans, but for me, seeing that there is the balance of personalities on the team, but it never gets ugly and it never gets messy, like the way
there have been moments.
Yeah, I was there, right in the building for that too. That shit was crazy.
What I'm saying,
Austin was there. That was awesome. You saw that in person.
I saw the fight between him and Jimmy Butler in person. That shit was crazy.
Go ahead, Josh.
When Dwight Howard forced his way out of Orlando, it was the ugliest thing that Orlando had ever seen. And that
was embarrassing.
I don't see that sort of culture. Like even when Jimmy Butler and Eric Spoelstra had that spat on the court, and it kind of lived there, and it made its way, it made its rounds and whatnot. But guess what? They still worked it out. Jimmy's not trying to force this. He still loves Miami. He loves Oregon. To me, again, it's organizational and cultural, but the coaching has a lot to do with that as well. And to trust your coach, even though you just yelled at him in the middle of a game, that speaks volumes. So,
yeah.
All right. Let's go next, Jack.
Also, wait, real quick before my turn's over.
Mm-hmm.
Josh, I know your runner-up was Tyronn Lue, but it will never be Tyronn Lue for me ever since that meme of him holding the clipboard and it was just LeBron's face on the stick figure. Y'all remember that? It's that game plan. It's the ball to LeBron.
For real.
But I think just talk about Tyronn Lue for a little bit. But I think like
Did it work or not?
I think what Josh talked about when it came to managing egos and everything, I think Tyronn Lue was able to kind of prod LeBron in the right direction. Because Tyronn Lue played with stars his whole career too. He played with Michael Jordan, he played with Kobe Bryant. I think he doesn't get enough credit because I think he's a really good coach. Because
Probably doesn't, and I don't think I'm gonna give him any, but there's validation of what you're saying.
Yeah. But I really like him, and it's a shame what's going on with the Clippers right now because I think he's gotten the best out of them because he's actually taking them to a conference final, something that Doc Rivers couldn't do with all that talent. But it's just all the injuries right now.
He's a torn meniscus.
Yeah.
Who? Kawhi?
He tore his meniscus.
How? But this is my thing. You barely play. How are you tearing all of these things?
It's probably because he barely plays.
He just came off
right?
He just came off a torn ACL. Of course he's gonna graduate.
4 seasons ago.
He tore his ACL 2 years ago, and he sat out last year. And this previous year was his first year back from the torn ACL. Of course he's gonna come back slowly. Come on now.
This is a sore spot for Austin because he has a bad knee problem, so he gotta.
Whatever. I don't care. I don't respect Kawhi and how he manages his health or lack thereof.
I'm with you on that. I agree.
Anyway.
Well, all right. Well, that's another podcast for another time. We will talk about that. But AJ, you want to start off with your coach, your best coach?
I mean, yeah, it's Eric Spoelstra. I mean, I don't remember because obviously I'm younger than y'all. So I just remember D Wade coming back from the Olympics. I think that was his first year, right? Him coming back from and we just got the number 2 pick. We just got Beasley. And for us to go for the number 2 pick and then us making the playoffs, in hindsight, that was fucking insane, So
I didn't think it was possible, honestly.
Yeah.
Because that last season, I was a senior in high school that last season. They had 15 wins. It was painful. It was painful watching that season. Miami was trash.
No, I just had because I have a dark sense of humor. So the meme of D Wade had that face on him where he's and then him willing up in the wheelchair with the towel over his shoulder. So that's in my head. But yeah, that there was Spoelstra, him in his 3rd year, coaching that 2011 team. I mean, he even admits himself he got out coached in 2011, and and to him he came back better. And honestly, low key, I feel like he's been one of the instrumental guys in the modern day kind of small ball because I was thinking back, it's bigger than him playing Bosch at center, but he played Battier at power forward.
It was. But it was it's when Bosch went down. Bosch went down against Indiana.
Oh, my fault. Go ahead.
No, but what you said, because I thought about this too. We talk about when Bosch went down against Indiana, how he had to make it work, basically with that team because Indiana had a lot of size with Hibbert, West,
right,
even George. So Miami had to make it work. They had to use their athleticism. So he kind of leaned into that small ball one, just like Austin was saying, playing Battier at power forward. And then he used Curry and he used a lot of them sparingly, and Turioff was on that team too. But Turioff is 6'9" and everything like that. So he
never had a good big man in his years there. So I think he's been instrumental, kind of the modern day of using bigger wings instead of using the just purely small forwards.
Yeah, that's a good point. Good point.
The power forwards too. I feel he's instrumental in that. I feel Golden State picked it up an edge and put fucking 6'6" Draymond Green at center. But he even says himself, during the finals, he was like, I didn't know I could put LeBron at his center. If I knew I could do that, I would have did it. And imagine back then he would have thought of something like that. But because thing is LeBron didn't like playing those type of positions back then. He didn't want to do that. But I think he realized himself how much space he had if he did play up a position. And y'all know I don't like LeBron, but I do feel him playing in Miami and him playing with Spoelstra kind of set the blueprint how he was gonna play for like the rest of his career and like what was like most successful. Like give him the ball, space out, just let him go to work and let him like just like control the game. Like that was with the help of Spoelstra. So it's Spoelstra hands down. And then obviously like this run these last few years, with like the level of talent that he had and the teams that he's beaten. That 30-11 run that we had were like with some bums. We had Deion Waiters, and James Johnson playing like LeBron and shit like
and
that.
And you from Florida State. But Carl White was on our team.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Even though we didn't make the playoffs, like to be able to have that run with like that group of players was amazing. So it's definitely Eric Spoelstra for me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be a little different. I want to say Eric Spoelstra, but the person I'm gonna go with, it's gonna be a wild card. I'm gonna go with Ime Udoka, bro. And the reason why,
1 year.
yeah, but in that 1 year, he did with that Boston team what Boston's supposed to be every year. Jason Tatum turned around and actually became like an all NBA player when Ime came in just his first year. They made the finals. They beat Golden State twice. Boston was like one of the top defensive teams. They're actually playing like how they should play, or how everyone says they're supposed to play, like from the 80s. Only thing is he just wasn't there that long. But if he stayed, they probably would have won a championship by now.
So you think they would have won it this year?
Yeah, they probably would have won if he stayed and didn't have that whole scandal. They probably would have won. Like really think about it. When we were talking about the NBA championship on the podcast earlier, we were talking about the Celtics being a really good matchup for Denver. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
that's true.
It's a better matchup.
If you put Ime back as their head coach, and I think the season before they were like 18 and like 40 something. They had like a horrible record, and he turned it all around in like 1 year. So just for me not to say Eric Spoelstra, I would probably go with him. Ty Lue, I'm gonna be a little biased. You have LeBron James, so I think things get a little easier when you have the greatest basketball player on your team. So I'll probably go with Ime. We're gonna see what happens in Houston this year, though. Maybe that'll help.
I think that's gonna be the testament how good of a coach he is.
Yeah, that will be for sure.
Because Houston is that's a project. I don't care how much money you're gonna spend on your Dylan Brooks and Fred VanVleet, which I guess we'll see how that one works out.
Y'all are giving this man that. Fred VanVleet is a mediocre point guard.
He is, man.
Mediocre. If you look, I know this is off topic, but if you look up his stats, he's smack dab in the middle of point guards. But yeah, he gets all this love in Toronto. I don't get it.
No, people are. It's the same way with that Cavaliers team. If you won a championship with that Toronto Raptors team, you're gonna eat for the rest of your life. That's true. What I feel like it is. You'll eat. I appreciate you bringing up that Ime Udoka point, because I don't think enough people recognize about halfway through the season. I went to the game where it was against the Magic, and the Magic were up 12 in the fourth. That the Celtics ended up winning. Magic let me down. But this year they won 3 out of the 4, so I was very satisfied. But that turnaround, I think that was the start of the turnaround, because the Celtics weren't doing good up until that point. That really changed a lot of things for them. They became more defensively sound. They became a lot more competitive. It was palpable, and that led to that entire playoff run. So, and I don't think he gets. I think people just they see that he was able to make it to the finals, but the it wasn't looking good for a large portion of it. So
I'll say this about Ime Udoka. Like we've talked about on this podcast, I think he's the only coach in a playoff series that has outcoached Eric Spoelstra in the last 10 years. In my opinion.
That's saying a lot, bro.
And I think that is a big point for him.
And then who was the coach before? Was it Brad Stevens?
Brad Stevens.
Yeah,
Brad Stevens.
And if I could say something, this is another reason I felt like they had to get rid of him. Because Boston loves Brad Stevens, but let's keep it real.
Yeah, they kept him.
So. If Ime stayed, he was gonna win a championship with that same team that Brad Stevens couldn't. Like, let's keep it real.
That is true.
He was gonna win.
I think
so they got to get rid of him to keep the golden boy.
there's a lot of pride in that organization, and like I think it gets in the way of it, because like when you're in Boston, it's like this prestige that a lot of people carry, and so when you have that with one of the best professional basketball organizations in America, of course, if you're the leader or the head of that ship, there's a certain level of decorum that you keep. So if somebody steps out of line and your neck is on the line, if you're the more powerful one, you're going to get that out the way. You're going to clean that up as best as you can. And I think that ultimately is probably what got in the way of their entire season one, let alone them making another finals run and potentially winning the finals. I think Udoka.
He was struggling as their coach. I remember he was struggling as the coach at one point.
Nah, bro, because they handled that situation terribly. I still don't know what happened with that shit in terms of Boston. I still don't know. It's because it's never been clear.
No, it hasn't.
It never will be.
Been clear.
Until there's a movie made about it later on. They never will.
Something he was supposed to do, and they got rid of him, man. That's
I feel like all this stuff, like for like what actually, like for what got leaked or whatever, like that, or it's been actually revealed to the public. They could have kept that shit in the house.
Exactly.
That's what it should have been in house. Because first of all, this is apparent in every NBA organization. This happens in every organization.
Any company,
exactly.
Yeah,
like let's be adults here.
Yo,
and how dare you do me along like that?
What pissed me off?
How dare
you? They got mad at the media for trying to be like, I can't believe y'all did that to our female employees. Nigga, y'all did that to y'all female employees.
Yeah,
man, look, they set that boy up, man.
That's a very good point.
No, bump that. Let's stop acting like she was some type of victim. She signed up.
No, she's not a victim. Oh no, she's not a victim.
And ain't nobody say he came out and raped her. But yeah, she ain't getting no backlash. But yeah, he the one his life.
She still has a job. She's still working.
Yeah.
She's
still married.
She got protection.
She's the president of the organization.
All she
vice president or whatever he is.
Comments
and basically, Ime, man, he was gonna make Brad look bad winning that championship, man. They got to get rid of him.
I gotta keep the black man down.
I think there is a pathway in which Ime wins, and it's like, oh, really, Brad? Like this, we're only waiting. We just had Ime in the wings. Like, of course, he was gonna make him look bad, and I think there's a universe in which, you know, Brad is having to sit and think about the things that he wasn't able to overcome with the team. But, you know, I still think Brad is a good coach. And that even that move was fishy to me, because when they let go of Danny Ainge, or when Danny Ainge stepped down and then they just shifted, it was weird.
It didn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
I think it will.
I got
10 years.
Go ahead.
But no, you're good.
I mean,
I think it just, like you said too, it didn't make much sense. But Jay, let's get your final points here so we can move on.
I mean, obviously the first is gonna be Eric Spoelstra, but I'm surprised no one said Larry Brown. Like, I feel like he deserves number 2 spot out of everybody here. I mean,
yeah,
I think.
I feel like that's an assault. That's assaultful. I mean, like,
I give Larry Brown that the one Philadelphia season that made the cut, because I think them beating that incredible Lakers team one time in the finals is worth that's one of the
most incredible things I've ever seen.
Yeah, one of the greatest wins that you can get. Nobody was back on that LA team.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, because Philadelphia had no right to win a game in that series. I don't care how good
it's crazy they even got there, to be honest.
They shouldn't have been. They shouldn't have been. There's nobody else on that team.
But that's it. There was no one else in the East that year.
Yeah.
Milwaukee, the Ray Allen led Milwaukee Bucks team was probably the second best team in the East that year.
Oh,
really? The Raptors were good that year too. But no one else was really good in the East. Like,
no,
you about to say something, AJ?
It was the Lakers.
Yeah, I was the Bucks were, but that's about it. I was gonna say the Bucks were good, and that's about it, honestly.
But yeah, well, I think people don't give Larry Brown a lot of credit, because Larry Brown has never stayed anywhere very long.
Yeah,
even with that Detroit team,
business for 3 years.
Yeah, because Larry Brown is not the one who started that streak with Detroit. Rick Carlisle.
That's a good point.
Forget about that. Like Rick Carlisle, that's his first job was there in Detroit. Like Dumars just couldn't keep a coach. Like, I mean, Larry Brown got fired after he won the championship. Oh no, not won the championship, after they lost the championship to the Spurs.
He got fired?
He got fired. He didn't. He didn't leave of his own accord. He got fired.
I think it's because he's not a likable person, though.
Yeah, he
No,
probably
exactly
isn't a
right.
likable person.
Players hate playing for him.
It's like you get tired of him eventually. Like you're gonna get tired of him eventually.
Yeah,
That's
it wears on you.
I
He's
think
one of the old school coaches.
Yeah, I think third place Stan Van Gundy. Was it Stan or
It's
Stan
Magic.
has
Oh
he has
yeah,
an argument to be third.
it's good.
Hey, I'll take it. The non-Magic fans didn't put his name out there, but we'll take it.
I mean, he was
really
coaching
talking
the
about
Miami
him
Heat,
because
and like it wasn't going well, but at least he got to the conference finals.
I really
The only
think
knock,
really
if we're going to talk about his tenure, the only knock on his tenure at being in Orlando, in my opinion, was trading for Vince Carter.
I don't think that was
A
on him,
lot of
though.
people. He wanted Vince Carter
hated it.
2 seasons before.
He wanted Vince Carter?
He had wanted Vince Carter 2 seasons before he got Vince Carter.
Oh no, Stan Van Gundy wanted Vince Carter bad.
He wanted Vince Carter for a long time.
That's an L, bro. That's a tough L.
It was terrible. I felt like he fucked up the whole chemistry that he had built with the team by getting Vince Carter. And I understand the whole Dwight debacle. That's Dwight Howard being a little baby, just not accepting criticism very well.
He was never the same after that, too.
But not just that. We forget Courtney Lee was on track.
Thank you. Exactly.
He was
Courtney
Lee.
Courtney Lee to Magic fans was maybe not that guy, but for the organization, he was supposed to be that guy.
You got to remember,
he became the most attractive trade target of the 2010s. Basically, after that,
Courtney
Lee was always involved in every big trade.
Had a stacked team with Dwight, with Hito, with JJ, with Rashard Lewis, with whoever, and then you had Courtney Lee, who was a rookie, and he was lighting it up, and it was, and so
he's playing a 16-year-old real well.
That summer, when we're like, no, give me Vince Carter, I was like,
what are we doing?
I remember because I remember talking to you about it because we were roommates at that point. I was like, I was like, all right, how do you feel about that? I fucking hate it, Phil. It was a bad
disgrace.
It's like Courtney Lee is so good. Why would we give it up for an old ass Vince Carter?
So much.
He played for 10 years after that. He played for 10 more years after that.
That was crazy.
That's what's ridiculous. He played for 10 more years after that. Oh my god.
For Stan Van Gundy though,
nothing. So
what was up?
I said Courtney Lee ain't really turned nothing like that. So it wasn't that bad.
Well, he kept getting traded, and then he got hurt.
So
if he would have stayed with the Magic,
it never lined up for him.
Yeah. He was one of those players that was always good enough to throw into to sweeten the pot for whatever trade was next.
Yes, for sure. And
so it's like he never really got to develop anywhere.
I think
consistency in his career. Go ahead.
I find Stan Van Gundy to be in the same realm as that Larry Brown. That like he's a great coach, but is hard to like by the organization and by the players sometimes.
Why do you think that? I thought he was pretty much liked in Orlando. I know I liked him.
Well, I know he had back and forths with Dwight, but
that shit was crazy.
But like I think remember because the Magic, they were killing it. They were doing well. Everybody was happy to be a Magic fan, except for the players because Stan Van Gundy was never satisfied, and he would always push him to And Dwight Howard is, Orlando was a perfect place for Dwight Howard at the time because he was just, he came from a Christian school, all smiles, Mickey Mouse, all those things. And so when you have this short, stubby New Yorker who's cussing at you and yelling at you, I could see where there's a lot of conflict. And so I could see where like it was hard to play with him, especially when the team is doing so good and you don't feel like you need as much correction as you're getting from Stan Van Gundy.
I do feel like he was also always trying to chase that ring that he missed out in Miami.
Yeah,
I feel like too.
So,
I feel like that's what that's what defined him as he got on. Because you look at his stints with the Pistons, you look at his stints with the Pelicans, which I thought was just a terrible idea. I don't know why the fuck the Pelicans hired him.
I think that he did well. I think the Pistons liked him though. I think
he did well. He was able to get to the playoffs, but it wore thin.
Yeah, it did.
I have a question. Do y'all feel like y'all misused JJ Redick?
No.
he feels that way. That's what I was wondering.
Of course, he feels like it was
he did mention that, but let's be perfectly honest, and Josh can attest to this. At that point in his career, and even to the point in his later years, JJ Redick was playing defense with the Magic, but it was like he wasn't a great defender. He was just an annoying defender. So he would annoy whoever he was defending, right? And then you shot the three. That's what you did consistently. You just got better at it as your career went along because you finally figured out, okay, this was your niche. You were misused in Orlando. You were asking to do those things, but at Duke, you never had to do that. He never had to play defense. He was always coming off the screens in Duke to hit the three. He never had to get his own shot. So I would say that the Magic formed his game to the NBA, if that makes sense. Or I feel like I'm saying that part poorly, but yeah, I mean, I've heard JJ Redick say that before, and I don't understand why.
I don't know what it was that he was looking for. Yes, we needed a 3-point shooter, but we had, Rashard Lewis. We had other sharpshooters at the time.
The fact that you say Rashard Lewis is a sharpshooter is crazy.
He was.
I get it. He won. He had the most threes at that one point in his career. But let's think about it. Even in that time period, if we think about best 3-point shooters, Rashard Lewis's name is not coming up.
Yes,
but he was the sharpest of the sharpshooters.
Did he serve a role? Did he serve a role in our team or not? Did he serve a role or not? Also,
but actually, you know what? Actually, we can get into that a little bit because actually the best individual team season is coming up next. But to award the points for this one, I think it's obvious all around. Miami gets the 5 points on that one, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess because 3 Boston coaches were mentioned, well, I guess we'll give them the 4 points on this one.
Wow.
Okay, I could get jiggy with that.
Now, I guess for the 3 points, this is one going to be more difficult. Do we give that to Larry Brown? Do we give it to Stan Van Gundy? Like,
give it to Larry Brown.
On that? Larry Brown?
I don't know. The Magic needs some love.
I mean, he got the championship. Larry Brown got the championship, so I want to lean towards him when it comes to that.
Cool.
I'm fine with that. I'm cool with Larry.
All right. So updated points after this: Miami has 12. Boston has 9, Cleveland has 7, Detroit has 8. Going into best individual season.
Miami's winning. Who would have thought?
Hey, look, we all knew Miami was going to win the best coach one. We all knew that.
Yeah,
we're all clear.
That was
but
it was a good conversation, though.
Yeah, but exactly. We're getting the best individual season, which I think this is one that's going to be a lot more hotly debated. So Boston's best individual season is 2007-2008, their championship year. The Nets, 02-03, we're not really talking about them. Pacers, 99-2000.
The Nets
not really talking about them either. The Pistons, 03-04, their championship season. Of course, Cleveland is going to be 2015-2016, which, I'm about to say, 2015-16 is the championship season.
For the Boston?
For the championship season for Cavaliers is 15-16. The Bucks, 2021. The Heat, their best season is 2012-2013, 27-game winning streak season. Magic, 08-09 is their best individual season. Hawks, 2014-2015, and as we thought, we're not really talking about them. And the Raptors, 2018-2019 season. We also haven't really talked about them either. So, but best individual season team, and we'll start off with Ajax on this one.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Heat 2012-2013 season. I'm going to go with that.
Is that the year Derrick Rose won MVP?
No, that's the year.
That's the year when LeBron James fell 1 vote short of being the first.
That was blasphemy.
MVP. The 27-game winning streak team.
Who got that vote? Who got that vote? That first place vote that he missed.
Carmelo Anthony got that vote.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yo, but God bless him, because Steph got it. So God bless that man who voted for Carmelo.
You know how pissed he was about that.
Anyway, but yeah, it's 2013 hands down for me because obviously we had the best winning streak. I think we won 67 games that year.
66 games that year.
Was that that run we went on, like a 20-something game run?
Yeah,
27 game.
Oh wow, yeah. I hated y'all. My hate was at peak level.
But and then Probably shit. Yeah, that's one of the best individual seasons of all time right there from LeBron. I feel like because like LeBron always like got that moniker of someone who could like guard 1 through 5. I feel like that was the only year he actually did it. It was willing to do it.
I really do feel like I have to agree with you. That was the peak of his defensive powers.
Yeah, that was the peak of his defense. Like that's why I feel like that's why I personally feel that's his best version of himself.
That was his best shooting year too.
Yeah, that was the best, bro. Yep. That's just the best. That's his best version of me. But then like I feel like he put all. I feel like he put it all together. He was willing to do anything and everything. He could play point guard, could play power forward, like everything. So and then like they came together, and then like they had like that great run. Who they played? They played the Pacers that year. Oh yeah, beat the Pacers, then the Spurs.
That game 6. Yeah, beat the Bulls in 5, beat the Pacers in 7, and beat the Spurs in 7.
So it's like
crazy,
just clutch all around, because like that was difficult because Bosh went down. So that was, and they still was able to pull it out. So I gotta give it that year.
Right. What about you, Nick? What do you think?
I wanted to say the Cavs, but my number 2 was Miami. But also made a really good point with that 27-game win streak. That was insane.
Yeah,
I remember being on ESPN hearing about that shit every day.
That was crazy.
They ruled the country, and also it was at the Harlem Shake craze too.
Yeah.
Miami basically.
That's right. That's right.
They did their music video thing. They were like, look, we stunned on these hoes. That's how Miami did it. It was confidence that went with the streak. Yeah. Birdman in the back and then standing up there with the
That was
kind of like they're stunned on this whole streak. That was the definitely best season of that run.
Yeah, that was, and then LeBron James had embraced becoming the villain midway into the season before, and then into that season too. That was kind of nice seeing a different switch or a different side of LeBron, not necessarily being the hero and being okay with it. It was just really good basketball all around. Like just every day was a show. Every game was a show, or it had the potential to be a show. I think even Chris Bosh, I think all 3 of them at some point had virtually close to career numbers that season, just with what they were doing. Like I never thought Chris Bosh was ever good until he went to Miami. I was like, okay,